Hello and welcome to another LSB Film podcast with me, Chris Brooks. Today's guest is somebody who will challenge everything you thought you knew about law, religion, and the structures that govern our world. Colin Gibbons is a researcher and thinker whose insights connect ancient wisdom with modern systems. He argues that law is the very glue that holds our world together, and at the core of all legal systems, especially commercial law, lies the Bible, but not in the way that you might think. Colin explains how systems have risen and fallen, and how today's legal framework could and should reflect the best of what's come before. He'll take us deep into the roots of religion, revealing its ties to Roman systems of pledging, and how your very genetic data may be the collateral behind global finance. From symbols and flags to the corporate structure of nations, Colin uncovers a reality where law, belief, and commerce are entwined, and it all starts with understanding the true foundation. Please welcome Colin Gibbons.
Are you concerned about all this corruption being rebranded as conspiracy theory? Well, don't you worry. Sit back and relax and join in the conversation with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
So yes, welcome Colin, welcome back to the show. I hope you're well since I last saw you.
Yeah, slightly more cheered up, but what do you know?
Well, that's a
Life goes on.
Absolutely.
And death is death, isn't it, really?
Yeah, inevitable. It's one of the only things that is guaranteed in this world. And on that cheery note, we'll carry on.
Only corporeal, spiritually not, but never mind. It's another matter, isn't it? We might get to that in this particular presentation. We might just do that.
We might do, but I have to keep you on track. Right, so
oh my lord,
we have got some talking points that we are going to be discussing, as I touched upon in the introduction. And so the first talking point that Colin is wanting to discuss is that society is nothing more than a bank which owes us for work which we credit to the bank and not the other way around. This is the case for the bar and other private member associations. They use the process uttering to diminish our godly status to that of the devil and cause us to take upon the status of debtors to take on the this is a bad idea, to take on the status of debtors instead of them. This allows taxation of all kinds and the subversion of statute as the use of weapon rather than the protection in law. Oh, thank goodness that's over.
You nearly said that, didn't you?
I nearly did.
Good. I nearly did. I could nearly read it, but I haven't got my specs on.
Oh, I need it in bigger print. So yes, let's discuss point number one.
Let's discuss point number one. Well, there's quite a lot going on here because the Bank of England, if you look where it is, it's within the City of London. And if you look at the flag of the City of London, it's the English flag with a sword on it. Now, if you remember my Tribes of Israel video, the sword is the sword of Simeon. And Simeon's banner's green. Never trust a country with green in its flag, right? That's a saying that I've heard, which is quite interesting.
Any particular reason, quickly?
Oh, I don't know. Apparently they're untrustworthy bastards for some reason. They must be the sword of Simeon. It was the blood of Levi, and Levi are the Levites, which are the priest class. So if you think there's four classes of people in the world, there's warriors, priests, merchants, and peasants, which is basically the rest of us. Now you see, what's happened is if there's no law, we've all got to be a warrior because you've got to fight your way out of the jungle, which is not a good way to live because it's bloody dangerous. Now, with a priest, they'll give you religion. Now, to join a legion is to be part of the multitude and horde of everybody. That's everybody together. Now, if you think about it, everybody's got a bank account. So we're all part of the horde and the legion. And so we're all legioned to the bank. Now, that's a Roman term. Now, you see, as I said last time, it was the donkey that brought Jesus into the temple, wasn't it? Yeah, little donkey, all that sort of stuff, right? So he took him into the temple. And the temple, well, right across the road from the Bank of England is Temple Bar tube station, which is Freemasonry again, you see. So you're joining into the city of London, and the Greek word for city is polis, which sounds like policy and police. Now, a lot of people have a paddy whack when you say that, but that's the etymological root. So policy, police, polity, polite, all these words, they're all to do with banking, because if you open a bank account, it's subject to policy. Yeah. And you're subject to policy because you bring the birth certificate. Well, the birth certificate is a receipt for your earth, which we can get into later.
Did you say earth or birth?
Earth with an E.
Okay.
As in the earth you stand on, which is flat, apparently. But we can get into that because I'm
actually speaking with Dave Murphy next week. Do you know Dave Murphy?
Yeah? No, I don't.
He was very big on flat Earth about 10 years ago.
Well, it's what I've sort of come to the realization of with my research, but it's all, we're not on a planet, we're on a realm, and the realm is subject to state of mind. So everything is a projection of your mind. So depending on your state of mind, state meaning contract, the contract with which your mind's in is how the world appears to you, and what you perceive is what the earth is. So the earth is flat. If I look out the window now, well, it's flat enough that I don't fall off the sides of it. But if I look across the valley, I can see Cross Fell, which is the highest mountain in England. Well, that ain't flat. It's quite lumpy. But we'll get to that, because people are arguing over topography of the earth. But topography is subject to state of mind. So it's the topography of your mind. So
I think a lot of it also goes down from like the biblical sense, where they say
this whole thing, the Bible's a big physics book.
Yeah, but they say the globe model is to disguise the fact of a creator, which is why the Bible says about the four corners of the earth.
I will get to that.
Yeah. So anyway, where are we?
So we're talking about banks. So that's basically, probably going to do these a bit out of order now, but you see, what do you put in bank? You put money in the bank. Yeah. So money is derived from your mon eye, your mind's eye, your one single eye. You see, these are your two eyes. These are the eyes of Lucifer, and this is the eye of God. So that forms structure in a triangle. Again, we'll get to that too. I think that's point 17, but never mind. We're already out of order, aren't we? I did put them down in any order, by the way. So you put your money in your bank. So you have to be a member of the bank to bank your money, and you need your money to trade. But because of claim of title, you have to pay taxes. You see, so this is how they're using it. But that's through a subversion of who you really are, because you aren't claiming to be who you are, and that's all run through the birth certificate, which is a fraud, which is they've juxtaposed who you are and who you were through decapitation. Now, it's not actually cutting your head off, it's you're being decapitated from your earth that they claim.
You're being severed from source.
Yes, right. So when you're in the womb developing in the physical, your source is your mother. Yeah. So you are docked to the mothership effectively. Yeah. Within a womb, and all your nourishment comes through the placenta. Yeah. When a baby's born, the first baby out is you, and then what's the second thing to be born? Second born is the placenta.
Deemed as the dead child. Was it deemed as...
Yeah. Well, it's not dead, because when you're born, it's still alive. It's still part of you, and its genetic makeup is identical. Yeah. Now, what they should do is let the placenta continue to nourish the baby in its first hours until it's dried up, and then it dies, and then it's cast off. But what they're doing is they have a midwife. Now, think about a midwife. That mid means between. So it's getting between the father and the mother, isn't it? midwife, and she cuts the umbilical cord, yeah, because you are conjoined, as in Latin is a conjugated language, as in there's no preposition, there's no preposition, it's only conjugate, as in joined together. So they cut you off from your earth. The placenta, now if you look into etymology of placenta, it's Latin for flat plate. In the Greek, it's flat cake, yeah? And a pizza, well, you've heard of Pizzagate, pizza is eating dead babies, isn't it? So where are they getting their nourishment from? They're getting their nourishment from the genetic material within the placenta. Now, they're not actually eating the pizza physically, right? What they're doing is, when they issue a birth certificate, you get the certificate for the placenta, as far as I can work out. And they are then writing up debt bonds for their bank that you join as a member with that birth certificate, which is the receipt for your genetic material. So you get your genetic material back on the signing of your name. So Jesus died for our sins, or our signs, your sigils, your magic, mark. Your magic mark is your thumbprint, your iris, the facial recognition. Do you see how that's working? So they take the placenta, they take it off you, right? Because it's pledged. Yeah. So
did they weigh
pledge? I don't think it's got anything to do with it.
The only reason I say that is because I heard the expression of worth your weight in gold is because they used to weigh the baby.
They may well do. The way the baby in pounds and ounces, and then the way the placenta are, they very well may do that. So obviously, the sooner they cut the cord, the more it will weigh. Because if all the nourishment
whatever it weighs, you get in gold, which is what you're then Sesquivay Trust or whatever it is. Sesquivay Trust.
Sesquivay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the sooner they get the clamp on the umbilical cord, the more nourishment stays in the placenta. So the heavier it will be, so the more that they will get, you see. So that's quite interesting. They don't weigh the baby and the placenta, they just weigh the baby separately and the placenta separately. So that's your debt. Because when you conjoin, when they get joinder in a court of law, yeah, they join you with the name that is on the receipt for the goods given to them. Does that make sense? So that's why the moment you go into the court, you're treated as a dead entity, because the placenta's dead. It used to weigh 5 ounces or whatever ounces in gold, blah, 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 but now it's finished. Now, you see, that's how they're mixing the jurisdictions, which is point 2, you see. Mixing the jurisdictions by both the court and the police, also that both the court and the police refuse to accept your status either way as it suits them and not the facts of the matter. Now, if you think about when the bastards abducted me, they didn't arrest me because they can't arrest me because I hadn't committed any crime, but they're claiming that the crime I committed was to take another man's title, which is in, I think it's Job 32. Take another man's title is to commit fraud, or fraud is a crime. So you're taking the title of the placenta, not your own title. So you're a member of the bank. So you're a member of the public because it's a public title. You're not general public. You don't tell the public what to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because a general commands his army. So if the public are legion, you're legion when you're public, you are instructed by the general. Latin for general is legate. So to delegate is of the general. So you delegate your power.
Words are most certainly interesting, aren't they?
Oh, words are spells. Unbloody believable. Unbelievable. So we need to take our money power back, you see, rather than have them do it for us. So they're creating the money in their banks, their public banks, because they've taken the public title. So we need private banks with private title. And then that's ours. So if you put your money in your own private bank, that's your own private money and nobody can take it off you. Because I didn't pledge it to anybody. I didn't give it to anybody. So it turns out my natural born mother and father pledged the placenta that belongs to me to the city of London, who is sort of Simeon in the tribes of Israel. Now, Simeon is a brother of Reuben, right? So where's my bits of paper gone? Oh my Lord, I've got that many bits of paper. Can't find them all. Yeah. So Jacob, who is Israel, and Israel means blessed by God. Yeah. So God gave Jacob his blessing to inherit the earth. Now you inherit the earth from your father. So Jacob's father was God because he was blessed by God on this earth. And then Jacob's first brother by Leah, think of Star Wars, is Reuben. But Reuben's birthright was given away to Joseph, who is husband of Mary, who had a baby Jesus. So who is Jesus, Christians? Come on. Jesus is the placenta. I am Reuben.
Okay. I still like the Christos oil theory for Christ.
Well, fair enough.
But that's another thing.
Yeah, well, that's another thing, you see, because you see, a cathedral is a cathode and the king is anointed with oil. So anode is positive, cathode is negative. So that's flow of charge, isn't it? Does that make sense?
It does. It's very clever what they've done.
Oh, it's ridiculously clever, and it's ridiculously well hidden because you've got to plow through gobbledygook, you know. Somebody begat somebody, and you know, somebody was
it's terrible.
Trooped round here and went there, and Judah and Simeon and Levi, and you just say, well, what the bloody hell's this got to do with anything? Exactly. But once you actually find out what it means and why it means what it means, then you're onto something. Yeah,
that's it. No, absolutely. And that takes us to point 3 then, which is why we need to take back our money power rather than them have it do it for us.
Right. Yeah. Well, you see, as I mentioned a little while earlier, money is mon eye. Yeah, that's the mind's eye. So if you would do a job of work, you have to have intention to do that work. Now, whatever it is that you're doing is productive. So if you think of washing up, well, you think, well, I'm minded to go and do the washing up. So you intend to wash up. And then you do the washing up. Does anybody pay you for it? No, it just gets done, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You don't bill the missus, do you? So, well, you know, I've washed up, you owe me a £5. She'd laugh at you, tell you bugger off. You just do it. Doesn't matter who does it, as long as it gets done. Yeah.
It's just one of those household chores that has to be done.
It is, yeah. Within your house, right? Latin word for house, domus, domain, dome. Yeah. So you're within the dome. You're under the dome because you're within your own house. You do your own washing up, and it's done for free because it's a job that needs to be done. That's it.
And you could say that the earth is the house for mankind, and therefore we're under their domus. Yeah,
well, that's the domain, isn't it? You used to have the Dominion of Canada and the Dominion of South Africa. Yeah, but we'll get on to flags and colours and tribes of Israel later, which is quite interesting when you look at it. Yeah, so there you go. So you've got to take your money power back. So if a job needs to be done, you should just get on and do it. But you don't expect to be paid for doing the washing up in your own house. If you go and work somewhere, which is commercial, which is merchants, right? You get paid to do their washing up because it's not your washing up, it's their washing up. Whoever owns the restaurant, that's their bloody problem, isn't it? Which we can get into the etymology of own, which is interesting because to own something means you owe to it. But I've got the definition written down here somewhere, so we'll look at that later. So we have to take the money power back. So they are producing, basically, used to be silver, then it was gold, and now it's electronic nothingness, and we work for electronic nothingness. That's what we're doing. Now, electricity is charge, and so that's the charge that's applied to our work. So why are they applying charges to our work? Because it's not your name. You're working in somebody else's name. So you owe them. Do you own the name, or does the name belong to you?
It belongs to us.
Yeah, because it was gifted.
It's ours to use.
The commercial name is ours to use, but we don't have to use it. Does that make sense? Name. Yeah, it's your Christian name, it's your first name, and then your surname is your slave name. Because you are the beast of burden that carries Christ into the temple, because you're a bloody donkey for doing all this work. Yeah. You're not a horse, you're a
I'm a
donkey.
jackass.
Well, that as well, yeah. That works, doesn't it? Mad shit, like, but that's how it's working. Yeah.
So
So
number 4,
number 4,
the nature of
nature
property.
of property. What's regarded as property, especially the words pledge, security, and nation. Well, oh bloody hell. Pledge is when you owe something to somebody. I don't think I've got that written in my blooming notes here. I think I missed the word pledge off. It's not in alphabetical order either, which doesn't help. Yeah. So pledge is what you owe to somebody else. So they pledge your name to the you pledge the name of your child to the City of London. They take the placenta and all the genetic materials. They write bonds off the back of it, which is your money power. Yeah. Because you're bonded into slavery, because that's what a bond is. Yeah. That's why a wedding ring is a band. It goes around your Apollo finger. Polyon is wealth, the sun, the bright one, Lucifer. Right, left hand and right hand path. So you sort of see in some cultures it goes on the right finger and others the left finger. So it depends whether you're left or right hand path. So who have you married? In England, you're marrying
the left.
You're marrying the bonds. You're putting the bonds together. But then you've got to look at the word Mary. Where's that gone? Got that much stuff. Crazy shit. So Mary is a drop of salt water. Yeah. So salt water is the electrolyte for the charge. And to be married is to give children, to give offspring. So Joseph took Reuben's birthright, gave it to Mary, and she became Jesus's mother. So she took the placenta, and they're making money off the dead entity, which is the corporation. Now, corporation is to speak for a corpse. So you go to court and you speak for the corpse. How the hell can you speak for a corpse? You can't. No. Well, because that corpse has got the same genetic material, they class it as you, because you are the CEO of that corpse, that corporation that you speak for. Tesco's is a dead entity, but the CEO of a Tesco's speaks for Tesco's. The woman on the till doesn't.
No.
She's no mind.
That's why the CEO can go inside for something that happens within the company.
That's right. But your corporation is Mr. Brooks. But you're not Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks is a dead entity. It's a bond. Well, actually, it's floated on the bond market.
My full name is now a dormant limited company.
Perhaps it is, yeah. Yeah. But that's just playing their game further.
I've taken ownership. So I think,
yeah, if you own it, if you own that company, you owe it. Where has it gone now? Let's have a look on my notes. Got that many out. Yeah. Oh, the original sense is obsolete. To have, to repay, to be indebted for. That's what owe means. And that's the root of own. So if you own something, you're indebted to it. So if that's your name, you are indebted to your name because you own it. The name belongs to you, which has got a different meaning altogether. So belong is to go along with, properly relate to. So it's a very narrow path, isn't it? When you're using these words in law. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Double entendre.
Yeah. So the root of long is to be the property of, right? And be a member of. So they've changed and twisted the words. Here we go. Marry. To give offspring in marriage. So that's what marry means, which is interesting because in the novel Dune, there's a quote that says, only the concubines will be remembered. They're not interested in the wife or who you married.
No.
It's such a twisted system. It's unreal. So the spiritual aspect, who come up with it? The bonkers. Whoever did, it's a to be quite honest, it's a devilish system. It's not a godly system. That system of law for the corporate world is devilish. It's of the underworld, and it's nothing to do with you and I just going about life on Earth. It's got nothing to do.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's
We're now on
I mean,
5.
yeah. So yeah, Earth is the realm of devil, Lucifer, or man, and that's the true state of the King Charles, is that of a man and not God's representative on Earth, right? I don't represent God. I am God, and so are you. A fractal part thereof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what David Icke used to speak about, isn't it?
Yeah, and people ridiculed him for it.
They just
Yeah.
misinterpreted what he was saying.
Well, interestingly, he turned up on television on the Wogan show wearing a purple tracksuit, didn't he?
Mm.
Who wears a purple tie? Mostly. Who talks about the third way? Tony Blair.
Oh.
Tony Blair wears a purple tie, which is the tribe of Naphtali. Yeah. And he talks about the third way. So you can either have the Roman way or Danelaw. That's the only two they're giving you. And Tony Blair saying there's a third way, which is straight down the middle, isn't it? Well, it is a new world order, but it's not necessarily what you might think it is, or why you might think that it is what it is.
I just don't like or trust Tony Blair, so whatever comes out of his mouth, it's a no from me.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, interestingly, I did a job in Penrith some years ago for a chap who went to university with Tony Blair, and he said he's a marvelous man and he's doing God's work. My reaction was, righto, Tony Blair, God's work. I have to have a think about that one.
Which God?
Which God?
Have you frozen?
Well, yeah.
Oh, no, there you are.
Pardon?
I thought you'd froze.
No, I'm just sitting still. Yeah.
These bloody long silences.
Well, I've had a good think about this, and perhaps you shouldn't trust Tony Blair, and neither should whoever he's been working against, perhaps, because they might be in bother because of his work. But that's possibly remains to be seen by the way world's going to fall out. Don't forget, he is a barrister, so he good chance he knows how the law works better than you or I.
Well, his missus, isn't she?
Well, that as well. Who knows?
I know what she's a human rights lawyer.
Human rights lawyer. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You see, what's hue, the colours of man is the rainbow, isn't it? And who's the Pope? Who's the Pontifex Maximus, which is the big bridge builder, and the bridge between heaven and earth is the rainbow. So the rainbow is the coat of many colours. That's Joseph, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and how we go full circle. Yeah.
Oh yes, you go round and round and round and round and round and round in circles with this bloody lot. I tell you, it's absolute mind bending when you're getting into it.
Oh, it is.
So again, you're into the modern meanings of words, the archaic meaning of words, because you can bet your bottom dollar that the Bible is written by the archaic meaning of the word. Now, archaeology comes from arch. Well, what does that remind you of? Freemasonry. Yeah, the arch, the dome.
The dome.
So, the dome. The domain, your house, God's house. So if we're under the dome, we're in the domain of God, the realm of God, then we are subject to God's law. But we've been put under the law of man. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Prometheus stole the fire of the gods. Yeah. So the fire of gods is the plasma, which is the fourth state of matter. Yeah. So you've got solid, liquid, gaseous, and then plasma, which is the spark, which plasma is the spark of life, basically, which is the fourth state of matter.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. So you get an electric shock, and you can give people electric shocks to get them living again, or you can electrocute them to kill them, can't you? Both ways. So which way is the blooming charge flowing, and where does it flow to? Because when they administer electric shocks to restart the heart, they place the electrodes in a particular place, which must have something to do with where the chakras are in the body, and then they shock it, and the heart starts again, doesn't it? Reconnects to charge, it reconnects to source. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's supposed to shock the heart, isn't it? Back into.
Yeah, well, it does do, yeah. Yeah, but you can take a belt off the mains electric, and it can run to earth through you, and you're finished, aren't you? You're toast.
Yeah, that's it.
Quite literally toast.
Yeah. Just not as nice smelling.
But it's the charge, it's the capacitance. You see, capacitance is capital. Where's your capital? It's in your head. So again, we're looking at electrical terms, sine waves, up and down, round and round and round, rotational, states of matter, and how light splits through that matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because
I hope people watching this are following along.
I don't follow it myself. Twisted my head inside out with this job. Right. So there you go. That's
So what are we on
sort of
now?
that look.
Birth
Well,
certificate?
birth certificate. We've sort of done that. We've sort of done number 7 already, haven't we?
Yeah.
You pinch your placenta and then use the genetics. You see, you think about it, you can't access your telephone without your thumbprint, or you've got to have an RFID chip under your skin or whatever, rather than it being in your bank card or anything like that. You've got to have your RFID. You've got to have, we need your facial recognition. We need this, we need that, we need the other. And you've got to sign for it and give us permission to use it. And when we've got permission to use it, we'll abuse it, which is precisely what they do, you know?
Yeah.
So that all runs from the birth certificate. The birth certificate is the receipt for the placenta, which is your flat earth, right? Which was the source of your nourishment. But now you're having to nourish it because it's dead. It can't produce, so you have to work and give it money. So when you work, you give money to the bank account, don't you?
Yes.
So you're nourishing the dead entity. You're nourishing the corporation. This is all started with the Elizabethan times, with the Tudors, yeah, because they set up the Merchant Venturer Company under letters patent from the Crown, and off they went. And what happened with, you see, the Church of England split from the Church of Rome, didn't it? Now, the word rapture means to carry away with. So the church was raptured. They carried away the Church of Rome and turned it into the Church of England, didn't they? Does that make sense? So that's when the rapture occurred. So everybody who's hanging around waiting for the rapture and return of Jesus Christ, good luck to you, folks. It happened in 15 plonk with Henry VIII, didn't it? Church was raptured then. Church of Rome, Church of England.
Your history, I am having to rely heavily on your words here because my history is poor.
Yeah, well, Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries, so he got rid of all the princes. So, as I was talking about, we've got warriors, warrior kings, priests, the priest class, which these days involves scientists and engineers variously.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bill Gates is a scientist and he's worshipped, isn't he, as a priest? So he is in the
one
priest.
Word for him.
Well, it doesn't matter what you think of him. What I'm saying is that's the class that he's placed into. Whether you agree with it or not, that's who he is. Some people worship Bill Gates as a priest, despite the fact that he's a scientist. So scientists and engineers can be in the priest class. Yeah. But then he's also in the merchant class because he sells all his patents, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Which goes into merchant venturism. So that's the land of the merchant. So buying and selling is mercantile, isn't it? Which is commercial. So you pledge your genetic material to the merchants in the City of London. Yeah?
They do, yeah.
So if you read Shakespeare's play, Merchant of Venice, they want the pound of flesh. The pound of flesh could be the placenta, but you can't have the blood. Sense. You can't have the blood. You see, if you look at a stately home and it's got an urn on the roof, that signifies our blood remains here. Well, what do you do when you go to work? You earn your money. You put your money, your blood, your sweat and your tears, your one eye, your single eye, your heart and your soul goes into your work, and it goes into the jar, into the urn.
Yeah, they are so... it still amazes me today how deceitful but genius they are. And I don't like giving them credit, whoever them are, but
they have done a good job, hoping to enslave you as a... Sorry, I was going to say they is the acronym, those hoping to enslave you.
Oh, I'd never... Yeah. I hope I remember that.
Those hoping to enslave you.
Then stick that on my YouTube community post, and I'll put... Is that something that you made up, or is that something that you...
No, it's something I picked up from God knows where, but yeah, it's just those hoping to enslave you, and it works, and it fits, and I'm not going to argue with it.
That's a good video title. I might have to use that one day.
Whatever you like, yeah. You can You can have that. I don't want it.
No, that's good.
I'll use it again. Like,
And hopefully it'll earn me
interesting
lots of,
stuff.
it'll hopefully earn me lots of 0.8, which is gold and silver standards.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we're up to in the gold and silver standards. Yeah. Now you've got the sun is golden and the moon is silver. Yeah. The sun is male energy and the moon is female energy because the sunshine in the sky is hot and dry and the moon is cool and moist. So you've got male and female energies there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have thought it was the other way round, but yeah. Okay.
It may have been swapped, but that's what you're led to believe.
Well,
So who
just because
knows?
the sun is the giver of life, isn't it? Without sun, you die, and obviously, women, the
This is
lady is the
true.
giver of the life,
The nourishment,
after.
yeah.
So,
So if you're looking at gold and silver standards, England is common law, and common law is for common criminals. I hate to tell you, folks, right? Because God's law is for godly people, and godly people aren't criminals. Yeah, true.
yeah. So the English Constitution, then, which is basically common law,
It's the rules of a bank.
but Graham Moore would also say that it's written in divine,
Yeah,
or it comes
it,
from a
it,
place of divinity.
it comes from divinity because it's come from man. Well, you see, if God created man, man serves God. God created corporations, and corporations serve man.
Mm.
Yeah. So Trump wants to drain the swamp, doesn't he?
I don't think Trump is anything other than an actor.
I'm not going to disagree with you. His coat of arms has a spear on it, which means showy, gallant. Gallant means showy and gay and fun and happy. Yeah, he's a showman. Yeah, so that he is. But that's by the by. But he's going to drain the swamp. If you look at a list of all the places in the world that are below sea level, you've got Holland. Dutch bankers set up the Bank of England. The Angles came from Denmark and Germany, the Low Countries. Yeah. They settled the Fens. You should know about them, 9 feet under sea level. Yeah. Other places that are under sea level: California, Egypt, Libya, various other places in North Africa. So, I mean, you can just look at the thing, right? And Holstein, Schleswig-Holstein, which is interesting because Prince Philip was from Schleswig-Holstein, right? That's his family name originally, although he's known as Phil the Greek. Beware of Greeks bearing gifts. He's not even bloody Greek, he's German, right? Yeah. Now, I haven't looked up I can't even bloody say it. Schleswig-Holstein's coat of arms. There's probably a donkey on it. I wouldn't be surprised. So you're back to swamp. Yeah. The Angles, English law. What's angling? Catching fish. Yeah. Jesus is a fisher of man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So English law, the Bank of England, set up by the Dutch, the House of Orange. Yeah. What the bloody hell do you want English law for? You want biblical law, not English law. English law is for commercial purposes. That's all it's good for, right? And you are bonded to English law through your corporation. Does that make sense? So Graham Moore's correct.
Graham Moore would argue that Britain and the UK is corporation, but England as a country is your sovereign.
Great Britain, AIN, is not Briton.
Okay.
So I'm a Briton, but I'm not British. I live in what's now known as the land of the Angles, but I'm not English. Find your tribe, Reuben. Firstborn.
You're Reuben, firstborn.
Well, you must be, mustn't you? Your blood's red, isn't it? Yeah. English flag is the red cross of Reuben going vertically and horizontally over the tribe of Zebulon's white flag, which is the Navy. Yeah. And the naval ensign, the British Navy, has the United Kingdom plonked over the top of it. Well, the crest of the United Kingdom is the royal family, who are all bloody German.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's the Holy Roman Empire, which is neither holy nor Roman. It's bloody German, right? Trump's a German. Prince Philip's a German. Betty Battenberg's a German.
So what's going to be the ramification then of the collapse of the bond market? Because obviously when he drains the swamp, that's going to affect stocks and it's going to affect
Well, this is interesting
economics.
because kings of England have always been married in the Westminster Abbey, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where was Charlie Boy married? St. Paul's.
Okay.
Yeah. St. Paul's is a temple to man and it has a dome on it. So that means it's a Catholic church because that's God's dome, temple to man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
St. Peter and St. Paul. Go and read your Bible to find out who Paul was. He married Diana, who's the moon goddess, and she is the hunter of gods. Charles is now king of the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is a corporation registered in the City of London. The Bank of England is the oldest operational central bank in the world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Dutch bank before then. I think there were some banks in Venice as well. There were the models to create the Bank of England, but they failed because they didn't have the military power to back it up. So they needed the English Navy because London is at the centre of the world's oceans by distance. Yeah. So when ships were the fastest mode of transport, which is a maritime system, then London's the centre of the world. Yeah. Commercially, which it still is. So the oldest central bank has the oldest bonds still in existence. Now, at the time, England's currency was silver, and silver was a monetized metal until 1816, which is 1 year after the Battle of Waterloo. Yeah. Now, the redcoats were the red of Reuben, and Napoleon's army wore blue. Yeah. Which is the tribe of Dan, which are the judges, okay, and the snakes, snake in the grass. So that's how that works. So you've got Charles is married to Diana, to the god hunter. Now, Charles as king is God's representative on earth, yeah? But now, because he's married and given children, given offspring to the Bank of England, that means William belongs to the Bank of England. Same as we all belong to the Bank of England, title-wise. Yeah? Who set up the Bank of England? Henry VIII, who was Prince of Wales, which is the dragon court of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. We're back to Germans again, aren't we? They chased the dragon.
They never lost, really, did they?
No. Who really won World War II?
Yeah.
So, you can either have Danelaw, which is basically a jury trial, and juries can be swayed, or you're going Roman law, which is written down. You rejoin the legion, because is to go again. So you're back again in the legion, your multitude of horde. So the members of the bank, through the bond that's written for you, is held at the Bank of England under Crown copyright, incorporated in the city. And you're a member of because if you've got any company, commercial company or bank account, it's all backstopped through the City of London, isn't it? Eventually. Yeah. All roads lead to Rome, or Rome's raptured church, the other part of it, the commercial part of it, because Rome itself is spiritual and City of London is commercial. Well, the third part of that is Washington, D.C., which is also the city-state, which is the military arm, isn't it? So that's where we're going with that. So Charlie Boy is now head civil servant of the City of London, i.e. he's the head man at the Bank of England, although they've not really said that because his civil service works for him. So he's now under Roman law as a man, not God's representative, divine right of kings. So that's been dissolved. Yeah. So the law of man is contract. Yeah. But man is the flat earth. And the flat earth's the placenta, and it's the placenta that holds the money through the banking system, through the bond market. Now, if the bond market collapses, that's it, finished. But if you think about it, the dollar's priced in gold, and central banks all around the world are buying gold, aren't they, at the moment?
Very good price at the moment, isn't it?
Very good price. Now, the British representative in the United States was John Pierpont Morgan, which is JP Morgan Chase Bank in America. JP Morgan Chase hold the world's largest physical silver position, and the price of silver is manipulated artificially low. So if you look at the United States Coinage Act, the official price, well, the ratio is 15-1 silver to gold. But because they know where all the gold is, the price of gold's gone up because of the debt in the bond market, and they're using the gold to backstop the debts. When that all goes away, because obviously Trump talks about everything being golden, doesn't he? He's become King Midas. Everything he touches turns to gold through the United States bond market. When the United States is bankrupted, which is his speciality, the last bank standing will be sterling silver with their silver denominated bonds, because I think there may still be some. The price of silver is likely going to go absolutely to the moon, silvery moon, going to go very high. Then the system will collapse, which I think is quite interesting, the way that's working. So I think that the silver market will explode, and then there'll be a scramble for silver, and then it'll all drop to pieces. But it's how it's going to work.
Definitely.
Then you see
thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah, but you see, Klaus Schwab and King Charles have both said, you will own nothing and be happy. Well, if the etymological root of the word own is owe, you will owe nothing and be happy, which could be a good thing, because that means the bankruptcy of all the world's banks, that's it. All debts are finished.
Yeah, I know it sounds really nice in that rosy kind of way that's explained, but that's not the intention.
It'd be an absolute.
They're going for you. Not only will you not own anything, you'll have to pay us to borrow everything that you want. You have to share shit.
If it works out well, it's going to be an absolute shit show getting there. Don't you worry. But I'm saying that is a possibility of how the etymology works. But you see, if you then claim your birthright back, and in the Bible, the firstborn is Reuben, and Jesus is given to. So if Jesus is the placenta through the birth certificate fraud, because it is fraud, they've taken something that's not owed to you through a deceitful thing, right? Through angling. English law, that'll do that, isn't it? Isn't it? But you see, you think about it. If you're nourished by your placenta while you're in the womb, then the earth nourishes you once you've been born. Yeah? Which is true, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So the earth owes us a living. Morrissey Smith wrote a song about it. England is mine and it owes me a living. Ask me why and I'll spit in your eye. Why? Interesting man, Morrissey.
Yeah.
English heart, Irish blood.
Heinz.
So 57. There you go. Pardon?
A Heinz 57.
Heinz 57. Yeah. Well, Heinz are Germans, and they're related to Trump family. 5 + 7 is 13. Unlucky for some. That reduces to 4, which is the number of death. But never mind. We'll get to that.
Flags and their colours connected to the banners of the tribes of Israel. Beware of those who are Jews and who are not. The real Jews are very likely the Druids that were supposedly destroyed by the Romans.
Yeah. Roman law, English law, it's all the same shit, right? It's all what's written down. This is the code. This is society. You are a member of society because we say so, right? That's it. That's Roman law summed up. We wrote some rules, you will follow them, whether you like it or not, because we're going to tell you who you are through the birth certificate. I can be anybody I want to be. So can you. So can anybody watching this. You can be anything and anyone you want to be, so long as you're not defrauding anyone. So if I'd have told you my name's Slarty Bartfast, you'd have believed it. Why wouldn't you? But I'm not. Or am I?
Probably may not have believed it, but I probably would have gone with it anyway.
Long hair, innit? Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, what we're looking at. Tribes of Israel and colours of flags. If you look at the old flags of Iran, originally it used to be a pale blue flag with a golden lion on it and a golden fringe. So if you're looking at colours, the tribe of Judah is sky blue with a lion.
Mm-hmm.
So Judaic law comes from Iran. Sorry, folks, that's where it comes from. So there's your tribes of Israel explaining what's what due to the flags on the vessel. The word admiral has an Arabic etymology, and it means leader of leaders. Who's admiral of the fleet?
Don't know.
Well, it'll be King Charles, won't it?
Would he be admiral?
If he's king and the king commands his navy.
Isn't a general higher up than an admiral? I don't know. I don't understand.
No, because the navy's the senior service, isn't it?
Okay. I don't know these things. That's why I have people like you on to tell me.
Yeah, all good fun. Yeah, so that's quite interesting. So there you have it. Now, if you're looking at flags, the current Iranian flag is green stripe over a white stripe over a red stripe. So green is Simeon over Zebulon, which is white, over red, which is Reuben. So Reuben's at the bottom. So if you're the firstborn, you're the tribe of Reuben. I.e., you came out before the placenta, and the tribe of Simeon have claimed your placenta. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, Iran, if you look at their flag, the top band is green. Don't trust a country with green in its flag. And that's over Zebulon, which is the navy. Well, who runs the city of London? Sword of Simeon, yeah? So whoever's controlling Iran is controlling the city of London. And that is an Islamic state, which is body, yeah? Because that's the cube. Think of Saudi Arabia and the Hajj. Saudi Arabia is a green flag with swords on it. That's tribe of Simeon, isn't it? Straight away. Yeah, that's interesting. And they're having a fight with Israel, which is the tribe of Judah, because they've got a sky blue Star of David on it on a white background. So who's going to win out?
Place your bets here.
We'll find out, won't we? They're as bad as each other.
Yeah, they are.
But I would suggest that this war at the moment is what's prophesied in the Gog versus Magog war. So they destroy each other in a big war, and then who's left? Who knows? We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
Keep watching here, folks.
So the the nature of carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, and their links to 369. What are the carbon is what? 9, did you say?
So we've got carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, and you need those three elements for organic life. And we're all organic life forms in the third dimensional realm, that is. So carbon's 6, nitrogen 7, and oxygen's 8. So if you talk about 369 that Tesla talks about, well, 3 6s are 18. 1 plus 8 reduces to a 9. Now, nitrogen is number 7, so 3 7s are 21. So nitrogen will be number 3 in the 369, and then oxygen is 8. 3 8s are 24. 2 plus 4 is a 6. So 6 is that's one in the sequence. So you got 369. So your 369 give you the numbers of everything. Now, there's a false number being inserted into the matrix, and I would suggest this comes into what I was speaking about earlier with the theft of your genetic material, especially with things like facial recognition, computers, telephones, and all the rest of that sort of stuff, because it's silicon, you see. The atomic number of silicon is number 14. So 3 times 14 is 42. 4 plus 2 is 6. And 6 is carbon's number, which makes the number 9 in 369. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, also, when you look at the atomic structure of diamond, you see, remember Steve Wright, you're a diamond geezer, right? Diamond
right in the
is diamond, which is its atomic structure is body center cubic. So you've got a cube with which matches the same atomic structure as silicon, which is also body center cubic. Now, if you think about it, your body is mostly carbon, and it's also, you require oxygen, which is to do with water, and hydrogen. Well, hydrogen's number 2, isn't it? Sorry, number 1.
And
yeah.
Don't forget, people, we are the carbon they want rid of.
This is true. So yeah. So water is oxygen and hydrogen. Hydrogen is number 1, isn't it? Yeah. So that's how that goes. So if you are implanting silicon is a transmetal. So transhumanism may be connected to silicon, which sounds sense really if you think about the way the world's moving, and everything's got to be put on a computer, and it's all going into the cloud, and you can't access anything without a computer, and if you don't pay for your computer you can't have one. You've got to do this, and again, you're all being mired into debt, aren't you?
The beast system.
The beast system. So the beast system is the system created by man, because man is the beast of burden that carries God's spirit. But also, if you think about the internet reflects back to all of us what we put into it, which is why so many cat videos, if you understand where I'm going with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, more rudeness. So there we have it. So we're into structures. So carbon in alchemical terms is a cube. Yeah, if you understand that, which gets us into sort of the next ones, which is the structure within third dimensions, because 2-dimensional flat carbon flattened out, if you get say a cardboard box and flatten it out, you form the Christian cross. Yeah, you put it back together again, it's a cube. Well, if you ever look at a cube, you can only ever see 3 faces. Yeah, and how many points? 5, sure. 7, you think about 7. So you've got hexagon. If you get a cube and move it around, you got a hexagon, yeah, and then you can see the point facing to you. So that's 7 with 3 faces, yeah. So you're into structure there. It's easier if I draw your pictures. What I can do, I can send you some. I'll send you some drawings, and then you'll see what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got
sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to put it on the podcast, though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you've got 7 points, 3 faces, and I think 9 edges. When you look at a cube from one direction, that's all you can ever see of the cube, because the other side you can't see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're into numbers. That gets into structure, which we'll come on to next. Yeah. So with structure, you start with 1 point in the universe, which is source. Yeah. Does that make sense? And then if you've got 2 points, there's division between the 2 points. So you've got 2 points and one line. Yeah, 1 edge, as they call it in maths. And then 3 gives you structure, because that's a triangle, but that's only in the 2 dimension. Yeah. Because a triangle can be up like that or flat. So you've got 3 points, 3 edges. Now, to form trust, you need 3 points. So you need settlers, grantors, yeah, and administrators. So settlers, debtors, and administrators, don't you, in a trust? So that explains trust on the flat plane.
Yeah. Which
is trust law, which is Christian law, which is the cube flattened out. Does that make sense? And then you go to number 4, which is death, because if you understand engineering, if you get four struts and 4 pin joints, it'll collapse. But 3 pin joints, a triangle, it stays rigid, doesn't it? But if you add a 5th point, yeah, you could put a triangle on top of that square, it'll hold it rigid. So that's your house, isn't it? That's the builder's number 5. Number 6 is the number of man. But it also gives you your degrees of freedom, because there's 3 axes on your degrees of freedom, but you can go backwards and forwards, in and out, and all of them. Yeah, does that make sense? So again, I'll draw you some diagrams so that makes sense. In fact, I've missed one on them before. If you have 4 points, you can have 2 lines running between 4 points. And number 5. Sorry, I missed this in number 5. You have 5 points. There's 2 points where the lines cross. So if you reach a crossroads, you can go forwards, backwards, left or right. You can't go up and down at a crossroads, can you? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's your 5th point. So that's about working out where you go.
And that's the builder's number.
Yeah, that's the 5. So depending on which direction you're going, then you can build off that. And then you got 6, which is the number of man, which is carbon. Yeah. But carbon stands upright, doesn't it? 7's perfection, 8's infinity, 9's completion, 10 is control. Yeah. And then 11 is the source of the next stage. Yeah. So if you think about 9/11, they went from completion to the next stage, or division of the next stage, because 11 reduces to 2. They missed out 10, which is the control over the system they've just completed. So 9/11 split. So they carried it away. It raptured it.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you work out how your numbers work through atomic structures and the degrees of freedom within a 3rd and 4th dimensional universe. Now, if you look at
unless you want to count 10 as a controlled explosion.
Possibly, it possibly was. So they did control the completion of the system, and then they demolished it and knocked the tower down. But then you see, knocking the tower down in the tarot is you can't rebuild until you've cleared away the old structure. So that is just, you see, destroying the World Trade Centers destroyed mercantilism. So you're going back to your 4 classes of man. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you've gone from warrior kings, through priests, through merchants, and the only one left is peasants. Well, in the Bible, it says the meek will inherit the earth. Well, the word meek is derived from those that wait. So how long have you waited? Oh, my bloody life. And they're still stealing it.
Too bloody long.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if they've destroyed mercantilism, they've destroyed the banking system, and they've destroyed kings by making the king a man, then all that's left is peasantry, and we inherit the earth. So do we get our, you see, we've got our birth certificate, there's the receipt for it all, thank you very much, you owe us.
I think we'll end up being, I could quite imagine it end up being just a scenario where it's a dog world. So
yeah,
you've watched The Walking Dead, where people just, in the end, it's about surviving the zombies, but then towards the end it's about surviving each other, different pockets of communities attack. That's where I could see us heading.
Well, then you see the title Mr. is master, and if you're the master of your own ship, then I can do a deal with you and we can exchange through contract.
Apparently Mr. stands for something else that I learned about, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it is.
Oh no!
But it was a title. It was a title, but it was myths. It was a longer word. So, yeah. I'll have to find that out for you.
That's interesting, because I've always had it that Mr. is master of your own ship.
No, this is definitely something else. But I will get back to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be right. I was have to say that's right. That's just what I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. But you see, when you go to court, you see, you're knocking the ball backwards and forwards. Well, something I spotted on the tennis ball the other week, see if I can get this right. There you go. There's the yin-yang symbol, isn't it, on the tennis ball? You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yin-yang symbol. If you orient it right, which I thought was interesting. I spotted that. I just picked it up and looked at it. I thought, oh, bloody hell. There's the yin-yang symbol, which is black and white.
Oh, yeah. There's symbologies everywhere.
Yeah. And then you see, in the Bible, they also say that you're the apple of somebody's eye. Well, there's an apple and there's a toroidal field. Yeah. So you're back to electricity. Yeah. What runs at the center of the apple is the core, isn't it? Yeah. So if you think about magnetics, I'll just cut these two up, right? There's the core. Yeah. So you got North Pole and South Pole, and this is the field radiating about it. So and it's round, isn't it? But the other way, you can cut an apple. So that's the North Pole and that's the South Pole. This is the equator, the ecliptic of the sun. Well, how many seeds in an apple?
Was that 5, 6?
5, which is the builder's number. So you
looks
build.
like a little stick man.
Well, there's that as well. So there's clues in the Bible about what is what, where, and when, because if you're the apple of God's eye, then that means you are the core of the field, and you stand upright on the flat earth. Yeah, because that's the ecliptic plane. So again, if that's the north and south pole of the magnet, and you're looking at the magnet, and you are the magnet because you've got the magnetic attraction, then there's 5 senses within the 3rd dimensional realm.
That's a good way of showing.
Yeah, but that's explained in the Bible, but it's explained in such a way it's blooming hard to get your head around. I mean, hopefully my explanation makes a bit more sense of what the Bible's saying and why it's saying it. But the crucial fact in all of this is the way that they've perverted the Bible to their own end, because the Bible's been edited loads of different times. The Bible's nothing more than a contract. So you've got Old Testament and New Testament, you see. The Jews don't believe in Jesus. Well, Jews is biblical law, which is an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, which sounds good, but when you start applying it, then it descends into absolute holy hell, doesn't it? So you can bring in Christian law, which is Jesus offers salvation for any crime that you commit. Yeah. So if you think about just like driving cars and car insurance, if you reversed into a Bentley in somebody's car park and you biff the door, you think, well, how the hell am I going to fix that? So what you do is you've placed a bond at the bank, yeah, and you say, right, well, I'll pay for that bond on my ability to drive through your license, and license is licentious behavior. Licentious behavior is criminal. So therefore you can join who you are with that name that they own. Well, if they own the name, they then have to pay the repair on the Bentley that you couldn't ordinarily afford. So that's the public-private partnership, which again is something that Tony Blair spoke about. So that when you really consider what public and private are, public-private partnership in the third way, i.e. we're not going to have mob rule of Rome, and we're not going to have Dane law, which is sort of an oligarchy, get our mates into the blooming jury and do you anyway. You're getting fair justice in the court, but it only works if people understand how the system works. So because the Bar Association has taken over the courts, and they are part of a corporation of the City of London. Once the City of London's been bankrupted and got rid of, then it becomes ours because it'll all be turned over to the creditors of the trust. Because if you ever think about this, they always talk about Israeli settlers, don't they? Well, what's the settler of a trust? The one who says, here, I'll give you this property. So they are British Israelism, Bank of England. Does that make sense?
No, it does. No, it does. And listen, I'm very grateful for your time today. As always, it's a lot to take in. There's so much to take in. And I'll probably listen to it again because it's probably going to take me an hour again to edit this. So thank you very much. I think that's so much information.
I think what it is, you're trying to condense the whole of all this nonsense we're facing into something that you can understand in an hour or so. To be quite honest, it's just not possible. I mean, I could probably talk about every one of those points for an hour if I went into proper detail about it. So it's like I'll be quite truthful. I don't have full understanding of the subjects I'm talking about, but I'm trying to put out what I know, because if people can then take sections of this conversation and then take that away and research themselves and add that to their knowledge, I mean, there's probably bits in there that I've got wrong, or so that I may have done, but it's not deliberate. It's just put the information out and share it, give it all away, make sure everybody gets it, And then there'll be, because if you look at songs and films, there's all sorts of clues. I mean, I was looking at the Edward Lear's nonsense poem, The Owl and the Pussycat, right? Now, the owl is representative of Athens, and Athens is Athenian democracy, which turned into Roman democracy, which turned into a dictatorship. Look at the United States. Trump's the dictator of Rome because that's a democracy. It's not, it's a republic, so therefore it's Roman. And who's the pussycat? Well, is that the Line of Judah, Judaic law? So we've got Judaic law from the Swords of Simeon, and it's all going round, and they set to sea in a beautiful pea green boat. Well, that's the heart chakra, isn't it? And under like the silvery moon and money and honey and quince and £5 notes. Well, they took plenty of money and a £5 note. Well, why did they wrap it in a £5 note? Because that was the bond that held the money.
It's amazing what they do and how they get away with it. Who
produces honey?
Well, they've got away with it.
It's the work of bees, isn't it? It's the drones. The drones produce the honey.
Yeah, they do.
Then you can link that to hive mind, and that's just a nonsense poem, which possibly isn't as nonsense they might like to believe.
No, absolutely. Listen, mate, we could go on forever, but I have to stop.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. I hope people watching this well done if you've made it to the end, because there's so much to take in. Come back and revisit it as well, because there's lots of nuggets of wisdom in there. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me, Colin. Really enjoyed it. Look after yourselves, and I will speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.